Okay, it is on. All right. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Let's give them another round of applause. I love that. I'm Mary Ann Carter, the acting chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, and the 197th meeting of the National Council on the Arts is now in session. I would like to welcome everyone this morning, council members, my agency staff, our hosts here in Detroit who have been amazing, including Allison Watson and Omari Rush, wherever they are. And of course, Neil Barclay and his team here at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. Thank you so much. And also we have some representation from members of Congress. Alexa Stannard, who is the Deputy Chief of Staff for Congresswoman Alissa Slotkin, is here. And Eleanor Gamalski. Is that right? Who's head of community outreach for Congressman Andy Levin. So thank you, both of you, for being here. We really appreciate our representatives from Congress being here to share in this meeting with us. For the record, the council members who are present are arts researcher Bruce Carter from Miami Beach, Florida, violinist and music educator Aaron Dworkin from Ann Arbor, Michigan, urban planning and community policy specialist Maria Rosario Jackson from Los Angeles, California, music professor and arts administrator Emil Kang from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, patron and trustee Charlotte Kessler from Columbus, Ohio, arts administrator Maria Lopez de Leon from San Antonio, Texas, dancer, choreographer, and teacher Ronnie Ramaswamy from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and producer, actor, and writer Diane Rodriguez from Los Angeles. Joining us on the phone are Deepa Gupta, Paul Hodes, Mas Masumoto, Barbara Ernest Prey, and Olga Viso. We regret that council members Lee Greenwood, Rick Lowe, and Tom Rothman are unable to join us this morning. Now, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of our March council meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we will move to the council members' votes. I would like to invite Tony Chabot, our deputy chairman for programs and partnerships, to take us through this section of the meeting.
Thank you, Mary Ann. We will proceed with the application review section of the agenda. The tally of votes will be announced at the end of today's session. The council will be voting by ballot today on 4 award recommendations totaling more than $2 million in the National Initiatives category. Please find your ballot in the folder at your place at the table. Council members joining us via teleconference have been instructed to email their votes to Kim Jefferson in this funding category immediately at the conclusion of this part. For your vote to be tallied, you must be present at the time of the motion, discussion, and vote. It's my understanding that Deepa Gupta, Mas Masumoto, and Barbara Prey are scheduled to call in for votes. Council members' affiliations have been recorded in the council book and on your ballots, and each member has been provided an opportunity to update this information prior to the meeting. Before voting, council members should review the list of recommendations and rejections and add to the list provided in your folders any affiliations that are missing. Council members are recorded as not voting on applications with which they are affiliated. This list becomes part of the agency's official record. After a brief summary of the National Initiatives category, council members will have the opportunity to ask questions and/or discuss the recommendations before voting by ballot. After you have completed your ballot, staff will collect your folders and tally the votes. May I have a motion to consider the recommended grants and rejections in the National Initiatives section of the council book?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll now summarize the national initiatives category, pause for any comments or questions from the council members, and then ask you to mark your ballots. National initiatives support a wide variety of projects of national and field-wide significance. At this meeting, the council is requested to approve funding for 4 projects in 4 arts disciplines totaling more than $2 million. Support is requested for an arts education initiative, the Arts Education Partnership, or AEP. The AEP demonstrates and promotes the essential role of the arts in enabling every student to succeed in school and prepare for life and work in the 21st century. The Mayor's Institute on City Design, a program that assists mayors with urban design challenges, promotes design excellence and economic revitalization, and enhances the livability of communities across the country. The Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students, a national program that gives high school students the chance to showcase their songwriting talents and compete for the opportunity to participate in a mentorship program with professional theater artists. A national services initiative that will support research, information, and professional development services for the National Endowment for the Arts, state arts agencies, and the 6 regional arts organizations in cooperation with the agency's state and regional arts education and folk and traditional arts program. Are there any comments or questions from the council? If not, please mark your ballot. For our council members joining us by phone, you may now email your vote to Kim Jefferson. Finally, there are several projects in the awards updates section of the council book. These grants have been awarded under the chairman's delegated authority and are brought to the council's attention at this meeting, but no vote is necessary. Included are 3 20% amendments, which will support professional development at major field-wide conferences, and 6 Chairman's Small Grant Authority grants, which will support the agency's partnerships with the regional arts organizations. Thank you. Mary Ann?
Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Council. One of the reasons we've been making a concerted effort to convene our National Council for the Arts meetings outside of National Endowment for the Arts headquarters is to reestablish that although we are a national arts agencies, it is America's communities that are at our core. Many people don't know how hard we work on the national part of our name, National Endowment for the Arts. We don't just reach all 50 states, we reach all 435 congressional districts, as well as Washington, D.C., and all the U.S. territories. By law, 40% of the Arts Endowment's grant-making budget is awarded to state art agencies and regional art organizations. This means that 40% of our budget, the decisions on funding is being made at the state and local level. What this all boils down to is that 4,500 American communities are touched by the Arts Endowment grants every year. These communities encompass major metropolises and tribal lands, rural areas, and small-town USA. And our grants support organizations of every type as well. 1/3 of our direct grants go to small-size organizations, those with budgets of under $500,000. Another third goes to medium-sized organizations, and the last third goes to larger organizations. Often, our grants and initiatives are the only art support available. While the arts would continue to thrive in our big urban centers, access to the arts would be non-existent in many parts of the country, if not for the National Endowment for the Arts. A review of the art giving of the top 1,000 private foundations shows that those private dollars don't reach 65% of American counties. In contrast, the National Endowment for the Arts is in 779 more counties than private foundations. 779 counties, 25% of the nation, where the National Endowment for the Arts provides funding and the top 1,000 private foundations do not. A significant percentage of our grants go to those who have few opportunities to participate in the arts as well. 40% of Arts Endowment supported activities take place in high poverty neighborhoods. 36% of our grants go to organizations that reach typically underserved populations such as veterans, people with disabilities, and people in institutions. For every county in America that has a high school, which is pretty much all of them, National Endowment for the Arts is there, either through our Poetry Out Loud competition or our Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge. We are also constantly seeking out new opportunities to expand our impact to new audiences. In the past 2 years, we have developed a comprehensive outreach strategy to address the underrepresentation of historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, in grants awarded by the Arts Endowment. In coordination with the White House Initiative on HBCUs, Arts Endowment staff members frequently meet with representatives from HBCUs while traveling in the field. Through these meetings, our staff gain a better understanding of the arts and culture needs and priorities of HBCUs, and are able to share funding opportunities available through the National Endowment for the Arts. We have produced and participated webinars to introduce institutions to our grant programs. We presented at the National HBCU Week Conference last year and will again this year. We revised our fiscal year 2020 guidelines to specifically encourage applications from HBCUs. We've established an arts and humanities cluster of the White House Initiative, whose members include our sister agency, the National Endowment for the Humanities, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. We meet bi-weekly, we host grant workshops, and we are planning a federal funding symposium in Washington, D.C. this fall. This summer, we also have 3 interns from HBCUs who are working at the Arts Endowment. As one of their main projects, these interns are helping us identify and catalog the arts and culture resources, classes, and program offerings of all the HBCUs, which will allow us to become even more targeted in our outreach. And in recognition of our commitment to HBCUs, the White House Initiative on HBCUs shared our outreach strategy with all other federal agencies participating in this initiative, encouraging them to replicate the endeavors of the National Endowment for the Arts. Moreover, we now have a roadmap to expand our outreach to Hispanic serving institutions and our Native American communities as well. So we take our commitment to reaching all American communities very seriously. And this is one of the reasons we've been hosting our National Council of the Arts meetings across the nation, to deepen our connection with the people and the places we serve. By traveling the country, we're giving new communities an opportunity to see their federal arts agency at work, and giving our council members an opportunity to see the Arts Endowment's impact on American communities. In the past 2 years, we've held meetings in various locations around Washington, D.C. Last year, the June meeting was in Charleston, West Virginia, and of course, today we're thrilled to be here in Detroit. During our time here, we've seen the full breadth of how the arts enhance life in Michigan, bolstering the economy, to strengthening civic identity and pride, to generating understanding amongst Michigan's wonderfully diverse population. We've also seen some of the region's cultural jewels, including the Detroit Institute of Arts, the Michigan Opera Theater, the Museum of Contemporary Art Detroit, and the Namadi Center. Hopefully I got that right. Namadi. I have a written out pronunciation, which clearly is not correct. Nonetheless, it was beautiful and fantastic. And George was a very gracious host. These institutions are vital to what makes Detroit such a special place to live, and a central part of the area's culture, economy, and civic spirit. We visited the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, one of history's greatest hubs of innovation. Our council member, Aaron Dworkin, and his wife, Afa, hosted us in Ann Arbor, where we visited the Ann Arbor Summer Festival. This event, I thought, Aaron, was a great example of how an arts festival can bring the community together while providing an economic boost, which I know Ann Arbor didn't mind at all. So we celebrated the vital role Detroit has played in music history at the Motown Museum, which was also amazing. Thank you, Robin. I don't know if she's here, but she gave us a great tour. Saw the creative spirit of Detroit's youth at a spoken word performance by Inside Out Literary Arts, and learned how, and I'm going to mess this one up too, pottery is maintaining the city's long tradition of pottery and ceramics. And I think everyone's wallet got a little lighter there too. That was really incredible. And we also visited Signal Return Letterpress Studio, the Alley Project, and Murals in the Market. And you see how this reused space is bringing such fresh energy to Detroit. And it was just really great to see and great to watch. And all of them are grantees as well. So it was really nice to see how, and great for the council to see how when we provide grant money, how it really affects the community. And that's what bringing the council outside of Washington, D.C. is really all about, to see the effect that the agency actually has. I'd like to ask each of our council members if they just for a minute or two want to share their own reflections on their time here in Detroit. If anyone wants to begin. Bruce, why don't you begin? You're there on the end.
Sure. Okay. I didn't see that one coming. I just want to, of course, I'll speak for the council and say that we're just so appreciative for everything that was done for us over this past few days. Embarrassingly, I'll admit this is my first time to Detroit. I've been to Ann Arbor a few times, but had not been in the city, and it was really beautiful, the whole experience. And there's a sense here that if you have a vision, an appropriate amount of chutzpah and grit, that just about anything is possible. And it really permeates through the energy of the city. And I think there's no finer compliment I can give to a city or its people than to say that it's a place where the immediacy of opportunity is so present. So I thank you for that.
That's beautiful.
So good morning. I just want to say thank you to our hosts, because they really did put together a beautiful, inspiring, and thoughtful tour that offered a window into the wealth and gems that exist here, not only the institutions, but the people. And the heart that I think is demonstrated in every stop, with every conversation that we had. For me, Detroit is a place, and even though I don't have familial connections here, it is a place that I think is so quintessentially what we hope cities can have as character. So there's evidence of innovation, there is evidence of grit, there is evidence of reverence for the past. And all of that combined, I think, is pretty special and pretty unique. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Very nice.
I guess it's my turn. Okay, I came to the state up north. I'm a Buckeye. You have been amazing. No boos, no hisses. Your hospitality has been incredible. Your warmth, your creativity, your enthusiasm, and determined commitment to the arts is inspiring. And I will go home. Well, I must admit, I do have some Michigan connections. I have a granddaughter who's going to be going to the med school at the University of Michigan, and I have 2 son-in-laws from Michigan, so you're okay.
Football Sunday's fun in your house.
Oh, no, that football Saturday, everybody goes to their own corner. That's a rule, and it's worked. It's worked for a long time. So, at any rate, I appreciate you. I think this has been an inspiring visit, and we're exhausted. We have seen, you have run us ragged in a very nice way. And yes, I'm the one who was dancing the wrong way in the video to my girl at the Motown Museum. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
I want to first start by thanking Mary Ann for getting us out of Washington and into the country so that we can witness firsthand the incredible work and depth that is happening in our communities, particularly in Detroit. What a fabulous, brilliant surprise. I was here before, many years ago, performing with a company from California, and it was a very different city, as all of you know, you lived through it. And what I see now is an incredible mission to bring equality to all of us during a time of turmoil and resistance from our audiences, that we find stories and we find art that resonates with all of us, and that we can find equal footing together. And that's what I feel when I come here. And I feel a community that is united under the arts. And what an incredible national model that we can all look to. And I want to thank you. It's very moving for me, very emotional. And I want to thank our hosts particularly, because they really did help open our eyes. I have, my friend Neil Barkley is the current leader of this wonderful institution. And I was surprised when he took the job. I didn't know what Detroit was. And now I realize, wow, what a lucky man. And he's lucky to have you, and you're lucky to have him, as you are lucky to have so many of your wonderful art leaders. So thank you so much.
Well, I want to, just echo what everyone has said about the appreciation to be able to be outside of DC, and especially to be here in hometown, and to, I think, have the opportunity when you're involved in some of the things that we do as council members. By definition, a lot of it has to be on paper and descriptions. And so this process brings life to that. It shows the reality that's behind the amazing numbers and statistics and impact, and it makes it real for all of the council members. And that is because all of the institutions, and most importantly, the artists that comprise all of these institutions, interacted and engaged with council members. And I think it's also, I take a great, I think, joy that sometimes the national media will share stories or depict Detroit in ways that we all know is drastically incorrect, and that this is weaving the story and sharing the reality that the transformational evolution that is taking place, the arts are not part of it, the arts are at the core of it, and I think the council is able to see that.
I would like to thank Omari and Allison for such a well-planned 2-day filled with, every minute was filled with activities. Thank you so much. For me, going to these large and small venues, artistic organizations, not only as a National Council member, but I am a working artist. So I understand the joy and the difficulties of being in this field. And to see the arts the arts community thriving here makes me so happy. I'm inspired, excited, and I'm bringing my twin grandchildren for a vacation to Detroit.
I have a history in this city and spent a number of years at the DSO. My daughter was born here in Detroit, and I think maybe unlike some of my other colleagues, I am not surprised at how wonderful the city is and continues to be. We are so privileged to come here, and for me to come back in this capacity, to have a different lens on how wonderful this place is, was a great opportunity for me. I want to thank Omari and Allison as well. I want to thank them in particular for their passion for this place, for what makes this place thrive and be loved by the world. And I also want to thank them for introducing us to two organizations in particular for me, the Alley Project and for Inside Out Literary Arts. To see that our future generations are in such great hands in this city was a privilege and an honor for all of us. Thank you.
I have been to Detroit several times over the last 6 or 7 years, and each time I come, I am amazed by the people here. I want to thank Omari and Allison for having really created a wonderful and meaningful time for us here in Detroit. And I want to thank you, the community of artists, the community of leaders who make Detroit what it is. I am amazed by the vibrancy and the diversity of this city and really moved by the spirit of the people here. So thank you.
One of the other things, you've heard various venues mentioned that, that we were at, but we also, we didn't just meet the people who work at the venue or who run the venue, but we met artists within the venue or just within the ecosystem. And I think one thing that Detroit and Michigan also, as a greater example, have working for them is that the arts organizations, the government agencies, the private foundations, the artists, the administrators, everyone's working together in this ecosystem. And you see it and it makes a difference. Everywhere we went, they'd say, oh, have you met so-and-so? So everyone sort of knows each other, everyone works together. And I'm really proud also that we've had a long-standing role in this ecosystem as well. The very first grant that the agency ever awarded for public art was made to Grand Rapids in 1967. And it was to support a new sculpture for the plaza outside of City Hall, La Grande Vitesse. And so, and I know that at the time was credited with sort of revitalizing that downtown area at the time. Since then, we've continued to invest heavily in Michigan's communities. In the past 10 years, we've awarded almost $22 million to Michigan arts organizations. We further support Michigan and its neighbors through our partnership with the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and Arts Midwest, which is a regional arts organization which represents 9 Midwestern states. In fiscal year 2019, over $2.2 million was awarded to the Michigan Council and Arts Midwest through our partnership agreements. And a portion of every state and regional partnership grant is allocated specifically for underserved communities, which helps ensure that all Michigan residents have the opportunity to participate in and benefit from the arts. And of course, Michigan plays another important role in one of our national initiatives, Blue Star Museums. This program invites military families to visit over 2,000 museums across the U.S. every summer, free of charge. We are so grateful that 50 museums in Michigan are participating in this wonderful program, including our host today, the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. So thank you. And thank you all to all the museums for generously opening your doors to our nation's service members and their families. Next week, I'll be in Hawaii at Pearl Harbor to celebrate the 10th summer of Blue Star Museums. I'd like to show you two brief videos, one from your governor here, talking about Blue Star Museums, and then that will be followed by a video from the governor of West Virginia, who, because we were there last year, wants to participate in everything. And so he did a video for his state. And so we'll show you these two.
Hi, I'm Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Here in Michigan, we have a tradition of honoring the members of the armed forces. And that's why I'm proud that 50 museums throughout Michigan are participating in the National Endowment for the Arts Blue Star Museums program. At Blue Star Museums, active duty military members and their families get free admission all summer long. That's right. Michigan are participating in the National Endowment for the Arts Blue Star Museums program. At Blue Star Museums, active duty military members and their families get free admission all summer long. That's right, free admission for active duty military members and their families at participating Blue Star Museums until Labor Day. We want to thank our military members for all that they do, and we thank our Michigan museums who are participating in this great program.
Hello, I'm Jim Justice, the Governor of West Virginia.
I'm First Lady Kathy Justice. We want to take this moment to let all the military families of West Virginia and the military members to let them know just how important they are to our state.
This summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we're asking our museums in our state and throughout all of our nation to join us with the National Endowment of the Arts to register to become a Blue Star Museum.
This means that all active military people and their families can go to museums that are participating in this free of charge. This is a little thing that we can do to repay them for their national debt that they have given to our great nation.
For those who've given so much and have served our nation in every way, we wish that what you would do is visit the websites and look and find the museums that are participating and go and enjoy a day. Enjoy a day that is absolutely our way of trying to give back just a fraction of what you've given to each and every one of us.
Please visit the website that's listed on your screen and visit the museums that you may be interested in going to that are participating in this program. And take advantage of this and tell the people thank them when you get there and let them thank you for your great service.
For those who are here representing members of Congress, if your members would like to tweet out the museums or do their own video, we highly encourage it, or any elected official as well. If you didn't get the address, it's our website, arts.gov/Blue Star Museums, and you can look up by state the museums in every state. So thank you for that. It is now really my pleasure to introduce and welcome Omari Rush, CEO of Culture Source and chair of the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, and Allison Watson, Executive Director of the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. As I mentioned earlier, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs is one of the Arts Endowment's state art agency partners, and it has been such a great pleasure to work so closely with this wonderful team. They work incredibly hard every day to strengthen Michigan through grant programs that include support for arts education, leadership development, operational support for art organizations, and by increasing access to underserved communities. They have also been amazing partners in this endeavor, bringing us here. They have put together such a great program, and we are so thrilled to have had Detroit as our home city for this council meeting. So please welcome Omari Rush and Allison Watson.
Thank you all. Wearing both hats, or wearing my two hats, one as, yes, the Executive Director of Culture Source and as the Chair of the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, which you will learn about later from Allison. You've already heard lots of really great stuff. Would just like to add one more welcome and say thank you so much for being here with us this morning and for watching on our live stream as well. Hopefully there are tons and millions of folks doing that. Culture Source is Southeast Michigan's coalition of about 150 arts organizations, and over the last 3 days, I've experienced just constant feelings of pride in seeing them, along with our region's artists, come together and show off and tell their stories of positive impacts in their communities. It's been really great, and as you've gleaned, it's the visit of the National Endowment for the Arts has been just a really special moment for our community, in part because as the acting chairman mentioned, it's really highlighted our collegiality, our bonds, that is really special. Beyond the thank yous that have already been shared, I just wanted to add a few more. Certainly, acting chairman Mary Ann Carter, thanks so much for your leadership, your vision for the arts and an arts life in America, and thanks for choosing us as well. That's fantastic. To the National Council, generally thank you all for your service and for over the last 3 days modeling curiosity and modeling just heroic stamina. You know, that's been great. To my co-host Allison Watson and to the day-to-day crew that I work with at Culture Source, the staff there, thank you all for helping create an experience that felt really rich in hospitality, and thanks for just like allowing me, especially Adam, to be just a little crazy at times. That's okay, you know? And then we had an unofficial kind of welcome committee that helped us greet these folks. Wayne Brown, the CEO of the Michigan Opera Theater, who's a former discipline director at the National Endowment for the Arts in Music and Opera. We also had Maurice Cox, the Director of Planning and Development for the City of Detroit, who's the former discipline director for design, and Regina Smith, the Managing Director of Arts and Culture for the Kresge Foundation, who's been a long-time collaborator with the National Endowment for the Arts. During today's meeting, we will be highlighting a variety of artists, arts organizations, people who are connected to that ecosystem. They'll be sharing with you what they're up to, what they do, what they love, and I would certainly like to thank them. We will begin that portion with Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit. Mosaic is on a super duper tight, I just looked at my clock, they're on a super duper tight timeline. They are on their way, literally getting on a bus at 10:30 to head to New York City for a residency at the Public Theater. And so it is a real honor that they squeezed us in, and an honor that we get to show them off in Detroit. They've been shown off in Washington, D.C. Thanks so much, Mosaic.
Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit, empowering young people to maximize their potential through professional performing arts training and the creation of theatrical and musical art that engages, transforms, and inspires. Mosaic presents dynamic concerts of music ranging from classical to spiritual, from pop to jazz, from Broadway to Motown.
Mosaic creates original plays focusing on the lives of teenagers, with modern adaptations of true stories of teen life throughout Detroit's history.
Mosaic has been the opening act for legends such as Maya Angelou, Aretha Franklin, Al Green, The Temptations,
Pete Seeger, Harry Belafonte, Sweet Honey in the Rock,
John Legend.
And Mosaic has performed on an album of the rock band Foreigner and on tour with Josh Groban.
Mosaic's all-team performances have toured to Africa, Asia, Europe, Canada, and 25 states throughout the U.S., including at prestigious venues such as the White House and Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., the Apollo Theater in Carnegie Hall in New York, and Willis Wonderland in Hollywood. Mosaic young artists spend each summer in residency with the Public Theater in New York, participating in internships and observing all of the behind-the-scenes workings of the most acclaimed nonprofit theater in the nation. 2 summers ago, Mosaic did a show at the Public, hosted by the producers of Hamilton. Mosaic represented the U.S. at at the World Festival of Children's Theatre in Denmark, and won 2 gold medals and 2 silver medals at the World Choir Games in Latvia. Mosaic has also won numerous national and regional awards, including Best Managed Nonprofit by Praise Detroit Business.
But more than any of these accomplishments, we are most proud of the fact that 95% of Mosaic performers have gone on to college.
For more than 25 years, Mosaic has been a launching pad for Detroiters who have gone on to perform on Broadway and work professionally in theater, television, and film.
Alumni of Mosaic have also been nominated for Tony, Emmy, and Grammy Awards.
Mosaic alum have also gone on to become successful lawyers, teachers, bankers, designers, social workers, and producers.
Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit.
Internationally acclaimed. 25 years of inspiring young artists to excel on stage and in life. Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit.
A national model for creative youth development.
Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit, a mosaic of young people from all over Metro Detroit. City and suburban young people building bridges through the arts. Mosaic. My artistic home. Mosaic. My second family, a place where I'm completely accepted for who I am. Mosaic. A place where there is laughter and love. Mosaic.
A place where I am challenged to give only my best and nothing less.
Only the best. Nothing less. Only the best. Nothing less. Only the best. Nothing less.
Mosaic.
Where I can be creative. Where I can be a leader. Where I can be an artist.
Where I can be me.
Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit. 'cause we gon' show up that one out. 'Cause when you at the southern walls, they sing us. We hit the titties on the feet, we want to
Wow. Wow. Great. Thanks for putting me on the schedule after that. Hey, safe travels to New York. Have a great time. Well, shoot, anything I do now is going to pale in comparison, right? So I guess I'll try. Welcome. Thank you, all of you. We've had so many thank yous. So I won't go through the entire list of all of you again, but it's been a great few days. I will say thank you, though, to my amazing staff and team that's here. Raise your hand. I have a few. Yay. They're great. And I also have to say a big welcome and thank you for coming to our council members. So besides Aaron, we get to share. Omari, Lillian, Susanna are all here. I'm sorry I didn't see anyone else come in if you're here. So thank you for being here. Thank you to all of our hosts, for all of you for being here and taking the time. It's a pretty big deal, and I'm excited that you're sharing this moment with us. But I had a bunch of slides. Are those going to run? Sorry. And the reason why I want those have those slides is because we've had an amazing 3 days together, and we only scratched the surface of Detroit, which isn't even scratching the surface of what Michigan has to offer. So you can, So if we didn't visit you, and those of you join us online, I'm trying to give you a little bit of shout out to the wonderful things that Michigan has to offer. So you're going to see about 80 slides pass through here very quickly, but I wanted to show the impact that's not just here in Detroit, but around the state. That feeling and that spirit that you have felt these last 3 days isn't just here. It spreads across the 3,280 miles of fresh coastline that we have here, the over 600 miles that it takes to get from the southeast corner of the state, where you're sitting right now, to the northwest corner of our state, where you can cross 2 peninsulas and 2 time zones and still be in the great state of Michigan. I think that's pretty impressive, right? We have skyscrapers, we have mountains, we have flat, rich farmland, and we have waterfronts that whose blues stretch out farther than the eye can see. But those geographic differences pale in comparison to the diversity of the people that call this place home. And we have just shy of 10 million people that call this place home. Now you might think, why are you telling these facts, these general facts about Michigan? I think it's important to understand the size and the scope of us, to understand how this one thing that sometimes is forgotten about brings us all together, and that is arts and culture. So you're seeing, flipping through that the partnership that we have, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs has with the National Endowment for the Arts, where 100% of our partnership grant with you is invested back in this state in grants. There's not $1 of those funds that come in for administrative costs. It goes back out into the 80-some slides that you're going to see here, all of you that receive operational support. that it's 100% of those National Endowment for the Arts funds back into the communities. I think that's impressive. So you can clap. You should. It's good work. So when you're thinking about those slides and those funds, that you're helping to support over 307,000 live productions, exhibitions, and films each year in the state. 76% of those are free. Right? Our arts and cultural organizations welcome more than 17 million people each year. We've hosted more than 4.1 million school children to those programs as well. Yeah, go ahead. I heard that snap. Give it to me. Thank you. We provide there's over 25,000 jobs in Michigan that is arts and cultural based, and we have more than 60,000 volunteers at those organizations. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Our arts and cultural destinations generate $1.3 billion in direct tourism, and have close to $1.25 billion in annual direct expenditures. Right? So that small investment, relatively small investment, has huge impact. This partnership reaches every congressional district in our state, every Michigan Senate district, and all but a handful of the 110 Michigan House districts. And when you talk about those counties that we serve, we're in all but 6 of our 83 counties. So these numbers that I just gave you don't take into account the direct support that the National Endowment for the Arts provides in direct support to our organizations, many of which are here. I saw a couple of you. I don't know if anybody wants to raise their hand receiving direct support from the NEA. See, look at that. Wonderful. Great. Yeah. So besides, oh no, you can clap. It's great. You should. It's good. There are 40+ schools that take part in the Poetry Out Loud program every year. You also have invested in making sure that Michigan is represented at national conferences, and most recently, the Arts for Justice Forum and the Next Generation Rural Summit. So thank you. The work that we do, you, me, all of us in this room, is essential. It's essential to our education, it's essential to our economy, and it's essential to leading full and productive lives. So yes, your 3-day visit may have scratched the surface, and you're all going home tired, a little worn out. We're going to work on some dance moves for the next meeting, right? If you haven't seen the video, it's definitely worth watching. You learn to be strategically placed so you're not in the videos if you have no rhythm, so. So your 3-day visit here only scratched the surface of what Michigan has to offer. 3 weeks, 3 years wouldn't be enough time to show you the impact of the work that we are doing here. The work that every single organization, artist, musician, arts administrator does either in front or behind the scenes. We are working hard, as you are, to make sure that every person here in the state of Michigan has access to arts and culture. Thank you. And now, I'm not sure where is Neil. Great, oh, there he is. So it is my pleasure to introduce Neil Barclay. He is the executive director of the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. Woo! So, woo! It's like the game show. Come on down. We gotta sit. Thank you for hosting us and letting us take over your space for the day.
Well, welcome. Just on behalf of myself, my amazing trustees, the men and women that I get to work with every day, and the literally hundreds of volunteers that make the Wright what it is, I just wanted to welcome you to this space. The Wright Museum, as most of you know, is kind of an iconic place in American cultural life. It is a museum that really started the African American Museum movement many years ago, and has been the place that people have looked to remember, to understand how and in what ways we can deepen the appreciation and understanding of the contributions of African Americans to American life, actually, and to life around the world, right? I was surprised that I had so many friends on the console. I didn't put that together. Eric and Aaron and Diane and Maria, these are all folks that I've known my entire career. It's amazing to see you here and in this space. Welcome, welcome. I had prepared remarks, but you know, I've been really kind of moved by this whole presentation. And for outsiders to come to our town and to understand and appreciate the depth of cultural life and vibrancy in Detroit, right? It was a thing that certainly attracted me to this place, and I'm hoping that I will be here a long, long time, right? Diane mentioned that she was somewhat surprised when I took this position, but I actually was not, and it was fairly deliberate and intentional. So just to clarify. But Diane has known me a long time, so that's probably a commentary on other things, actually. Detroit is a very special place, and the Wright is a part of that. But what makes the Wright, I think, such an important icon in the cultural life of not just Detroit, but the world, is the ecology in which it sits, right? And that's all of you, the work that you do, and the ways in which we're able to collaborate and work together to make this such a vibrant, vital, I would say, place. So, welcome. Our exhibit on Monticello closes in a few days if you haven't seen it. And so if you haven't, I recommend it to you. Like I'm supposed to, right? Welcome. Thank you.
And now I would like to ask Satori Shakoor if you wouldn't mind coming up to the stage to share some words.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't like the podium. I hope you guys aren't too tired, because the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers is producing Real Men, True Stories Told Live tonight on this stage. I know you're not promising anything, but we do live stream, so in your hotel rooms, at the airport, wherever you are, okay? All right. Good morning. My name is Satori Shakoor, and I am a storyteller. I come from a long line of storytellers, old, ancient, uneducated black women from the Jim Crow South. Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Little Rock, Arkansas, South Carolina. There was Mama Smith, Miss Bessie, Stella, and my stepmother, Sadie. They were all at least 20 years older than my mother, Annie Lou, who she herself was born in 1918 in Holly Bluff, Mississippi. They babysat us while my mother worked. They told stories all day long, to teach, to warn, to entertain, to impart. They spoke the language of storytelling, so I learned to speak it too. They were masters, but my stepmother, Sadie, was a PhD. She could make you see the story she was telling. Listening to her was like watching a little movie in my mind. And on top of that, she could make going to the corner store sound like Lord of the Rings. Which brings me to once upon a time, 21 days ago. My husband, who is retired Navy, and myself went to Washington, D.C. We wanted to see the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And I've been to a lot of museums in the world, Europe, Canada, the Caribbean. And I've always felt like a very welcome guest in someone else's home. But when I walked into that museum, I felt like this was my home. I felt like I was walking into a three-dimensional story, one like Sadie was telling. So I started in the basement with the Journey to Freedom. And I cried through that first 250 years. I didn't cry because I saw the shackles and chains or the whip and the photo of the man whose back was torn up from the whipping. No, I didn't cry when I saw the black woman begging the slave master, please don't sell my kids. I didn't cry when I saw the photographs of the African enslaved African women with dead, vacant eyes holding the white babies on their knee. No, I didn't cry when I saw the woman jumping out of the second floor of that plantation. I just hoped that she died when she hit the ground because I couldn't imagine her surviving and facing whatever she was running from. I didn't cry because of that. I cried because of the juxtaposition of that cruelty, of that horror, of that all those crimes against humanity juxtaposed between what I saw on the fourth and the third floor of our accomplishments. I was upstairs looking at the contribution of the poets. Jessica Care Moore's words were going across the... I went upstairs, I saw the spaceship that George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. I watched that spaceship land every night as one of the brides of Funkenstein. I'm part of history. We were partying up there on the fourth floor like I was at home. And I cried when I walked out of the museum because at that moment I knew who I was. I knew my story because I had been in a story of my people who soared, who, despite all of the oppression that kept them down, soared. I walked out because there's a difference between knowing your history and knowing your story. I was taught my history, but my story, I lived that in that experience. And I have to go back and go back and go back. And I was surprised that I didn't feel angry, especially when I looked across the street and I saw the 12 people with the red MAGA hats make America great again. Because I knew who I was. I came from people who made America great, who built America. I was not surprised when I saw the photographs of African American men in military uniform. I was not shocked because who else has a greater stake in a country if you built it? When I came out, I knew who I was. I knew what people I was from. I knew my value. I knew I and my ideas and my arts organizations and the arts organizations here in this city and in this state have value. And that we should be funded. We're a good risk. We're a good investment. And I cried because I knew I had not asked enough of my country, of my city, of the art funding organization. I had not asked enough because I didn't know how great of investment African American people are to this country and that the art should do what it did to me when I walked out. It should shake me up. It should make me tall. It should illuminate and elucidate, and it should transform me. And all art has that possibility. And when I sit on the panel for Macaca and grade those art organizations in the upper P, I don't know nothing about Scottish history. I admit that. But what I'm going to look for is how that application impacts that community. I'm going to look whether it shakes you up and transforms you, because that, to me, is what art is supposed to do. Full disclosure, if you see an arts organization struggling for 4 years, 7 years, 10 years, carrying their nonprofit on their back, Don't toss their application aside because they didn't know the buzzword intersectionality. Don't. Used to be multiculturalism when I lived in LA and diversity in the 2000s. Now, what the hell is, it's groovy. It's a groovy thing. If there's a misspelled word, don't toss it out. Look to see, is it nourishing that community? Is it making that community stand up and contribute? The Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers has a global mission to connect humanity, heal and transform community, and to provide an uplifting, thought-provoking, soul-cleansing entertainment experience through the art and craft of storytelling. But more than that, what we are developing is listeners, because we believe that listening is a revolutionary act, and that listening grants being to another's experience. And at the highest level, listening is the possibility of love. So to close, I used to think of the NEA as those other three-letter words, you know, like IRS and GOD, you know? But I see you're human beings. You're artists. You look like the storytellers on my show, all diverse and mixed up in your cultures and colors. I'm just going to ask you, fund the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers. Fund the Charles Wright Museum of African American History, who uses some of the dollars to help us. Inside Out helps us. I mean, everybody who buys a ticket supports us. So I didn't ask for enough. I want to ask for more than enough. If I ask for $70,000, add another zero. Really? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So part of the ability for this support to get to communities all around the state of Michigan, and certainly all around the country, is by having a set of government leaders, policymakers, elected officials who hear us, who listen to what we have to say about our needs and our desires for prosperity in our communities, and then who respond when they see impact, who respond when they see opportunity. And so in Michigan, we are certainly very fortunate to have so many of those officials, so many of those leaders who are real allies and partners to us in our work. At this time, we would absolutely like to highlight a few of them, give them some space to share how they're thinking about their work, how they're thinking about their impacts. We are in the city of Detroit, and so, of course, we look to our mayor, Mike Duggan, to share some words. And I'm particularly excited that in his place, he's not able to be here. We have Rochelle Riley, the Director of Arts and Culture, newly appointed to welcome us officially from the mayor's office and to tell us what a Director of Arts and Culture in the city of Detroit is up to. Thank you so much, Rochelle.
Really? After Satori?
Yeah, I mean, really.
I am so proud to welcome you, the council, the National Endowment for the Arts, forever hereafter known as the Arts Endowment, so they will never get confused with our glorious teachers in the NEA. Welcome to Detroit, the city where arts are a way of life. On behalf of Mayor Mike Duggan and the Detroit City Council, I can say that we are thrilled that we are one of your first forays out into America for your meetings away from Washington. You are in the right place. I am the city's new Director of Arts and Culture. I used to be the media. There is no better person than a former columnist who has a wide platform to make sure people understand who we are, how great we are, and how much greater we can be. I am charged with making real the mayor's renewed commitment to our artists, our arts groups, our arts initiatives as part of a multi-million-dollar arts industry, which is what we have here in the city of Detroit. So I am building a department from the ground up. So I plan to lose myself in the music, the moment, and own it and never let it go. I only get one shot. I won't miss my chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. As Elmore Leonard said, there are cities that get by on their good looks. They offer climate and scenery, views of mountains or oceans, rock-bound or with palm trees. And there are cities like Detroit that have to work for a living. Well, we also have good looks thanks to a renaissance that began at our city center and is spreading outward across 139 miles, and we have everything here. Fine and performing arts, theater arts, photographers, designers, dancers, sculptors, spoken word artists, musicians whose legacy stretches back farther than Motown, but then we have Motown too. Yeah. So here with arts and music and culture, we're working for a living, but we're about to blow the roof off the sucker. And what we can do because there's genius here, and there's genius that is coming here. And the programs that are here and the innovations to come are what we're going to pay attention to for the first time in 13 years. There is no better time to pay attention and support an artistic renaissance than right here and right now. So we'll be looking to you for your wise counsel and for your support. Because after all, when we are the toast of the nation, won't you want to say that you are a part of making it happen? So thank you for enjoying the city that we love, and y'all come back now, you hear?
I mean, can you tell that she's a writer? So great. Thank you so much.
You know, I think Omari's planning this. He puts me to talk after every, you know. We got to work on our scheduling for next time. So I also want to welcome Nicole Simmons. Where is she at? There she is. Sorry. Yeah, we're going to give it up for her. So do you all know her from here? Unfortunately, the governor was not able to make it to Detroit today, and she, in fact, sent a wonderful replacement. Look at, she's waving and knowing everybody. So this is Nicole Simmons. We already played the video. I'm sorry. No worries. I missed it. Yeah, we already did the Blue Star video, so we'll show you again later. So, Nicole.
Well, good morning. I am Nicole Simmons, and I'm here on behalf of Governor Whitmer's office. And I am just so thrilled to be here, so proud, and I'm just so amazed at all the wonderful presentations we've seen today, from the storytelling to the singers. It's been truly, truly remarkable. As we know, the city of Detroit and across the state of Michigan is home to some of the most talented and skilled artists, creatives, storytellers, singers, dancers, and we really have to ensure that there are avenues for these individuals to thrive. And one thing that Governor Whitmer always says is there are paths for everyone, but not everyone has the same path. And we have to ensure those pathways are clear for our creatives and our singers and dancers and artists. So that's why the work that the NEA is doing is so important and so vital. So we at the state of Michigan are here to support you. We're committed to you. I'm excited that Rochelle Riley is in this position with the city of Detroit. So the state of Michigan is so excited to partner and support her in any way that we can. So thank you again for having us.
Sorry, can I have one more before we move on to another performance? We've been lucky. Do you want to come on up now? Are you ready? You've been sitting. So we've been lucky to, last night as well as today, have such wonderful support from our elected officials. And Alexa from Congresswoman Slotkin's office has been here, was with us partying, right? You say, whoa, but this woman was partying with us last night at the Motown Mansion and has been here all day. So I have to give her credit. She's hung tougher than some of the council members. So I'm just saying. So, Alexa, welcome.
If I get a little winded, just bear with me. She's a little rough on her mama sometimes during public speaking. So I am here on behalf of Congresswoman Alissa Slotkin. Congresswoman Slotkin represents the 8th District, which is North Oakland, Olive Livingston, and Olive Ingham. She's a new Congresswoman. She flipped that district in the last election. And so we've had a mention of funding. So that's part of what I want to be up here talking about. As you might be aware, this is appropriations season in the House. And President Trump, in his proposed budget, proposed the complete elimination of the National Endowment of the Arts for fiscal year 2020. So Congresswoman Slotkin and a number of her colleagues signed a letter requesting that the appropriations bill for the Department of the Interior, under which the NEA is funded, that funding level for the NEA actually increase by $12.5 million. And that request was accepted. And so the bill that is now working its way through the House actually increases the NEA's budget to $167.5 million, which is great. We expect it will pass next week. Next week is the vote, so this would be a great time to call your local rep, especially if they're like kind of a moderate on the fence sort of person. Of course, it's got to work its way through the rest of the government, and namely the Senate. But we are hopeful and excited that instead of a starting point in the budget being the elimination of the NEA, that the starting point is an increase in the funding level for the NEA. So that's number one. Number two, I wanted to say that I was not aware of that Blue Star program. The Congresswoman actually spent her whole career with the CIA. She's an Iraqi Shia militia expert. She did 3 tours in Iraq. Her husband is a retired Army colonel, and her stepdaughter is an Army physician. So the military and veterans are a special interest for us. So we will be putting that on social media today. You can look forward to that. It's a super cool program. And I want to acknowledge, so I was looking at the funding for our district in particular. In fiscal year 2018, which is the most recent list I could find, the Michigan Council for the Arts funded our district for more than $763,000. And that's real money going to the arts in a district that is heavily rural, has a lot of low-income urban and suburban areas. And a lot of those grants, there are 2 categories that kind of caught my eye. One category was a lot of them are operational funds for organizations. I've done a lot of grant writing, and it's really hard to get operational funding, right? It's the lifeblood of an organization, but everybody wants to fund a specific project with a specific outcome. And so getting that operational funding is what allows an organization to really keep doing its work. And a lot of those funds were also mini grants, like a couple $100, a couple $1,000 for schools throughout our district that provided art supplies, some professional development, so that kids could keep experiencing the arts in their daily lives. I have a 7-year-old son. It is a standing joke amongst parents of young children, like, how do you surreptitiously dispose of your child's artwork? Because it comes home in a deluge, right? It's like all you do is just absorb their artwork, and heaven forbid, even the doodle that they made during like free time winds up in the recycler, right? But what I appreciate about that, what it kind of says, I think, is that our children are naturally wired to value their own creative output and to expect us to value that output as well. And so as a parent, I know this, and I know that the Congresswoman knows this, that the arts are not a nice to have, that they're completely integral to our children's development and to our community's development. So we support you, and thank you for the work that you do, and look forward to continuing to work together. Thanks.
Next up, we have, we'll move into more presentations. I am really proud to welcome Alissa Novoselick up to the podium. Alissa probably will mention that they're celebrating a pretty big, major anniversary at Living Arts. They're in a neat bit of elision. Alissa spent quite a bit of her career working in West Virginia, had lots of success there, and brought all those learnings to us here in Southeast Michigan. We're really proud to have her and Sterling Toles both with us, sharing their work, and I'll turn this mic over to them now.
Thank you, Omari. Good morning, everyone. I am Alissa Novoselick, Executive Director at Living Arts here in Detroit, and it is a sincere honor to speak with you today alongside my colleague, Sterling Toles. I come into this work as an artist and teacher turned MBA who built her career on the Yavapai Apache Reservation in rural Appalachia and now back in my home state in this city. To this end, I am incredibly passionate about the importance of arts education across this country in our most under-resourced areas. And I also am suspect that the NEA is following me around, like Omari said, because their first meeting outside of DC was in Charleston, West Virginia, where I used to run a statewide organization, and now you're wonderfully here. So thank you, Chair Marianne Carter and the Council on the Arts for paying attention to both urban and rural needs. And if you need a contact on the reservation, I've got one for you next. Thank you, Omari, thank you, Allison, and thank you, Neil. Serendipitously, Living Arts kicked off a Dunham Technique residency on Tuesday with Penny Goldobo, master dancer, funded through the NEA Artworks program that will be premiered right here at the Wright in August. One of our core values I'm going to talk about today is respect for partnership, and we are so grateful for the monetary, human, and other resources that all of our partners put into this work. Today I'm going to very briefly give you a macro level into the vision that we are working to realize systemically, and that's an important word, around arts and education in the city. Sterling will then give you a much better humanized view of what it means to be a teaching artist here and work with the youth that you mentioned today. I must say, though, looking around the room, filled with friends and colleagues, that there are many people who can tell this story, and there are many people who are not here who can tell this story. There are years of experience, tribulation, and success in this city, and that I hope each one of you on the council is able to tap into on your visit. So it's no shocker that Detroit has its share of challenges, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. However, it is important to note, as a benchmark for our work, that kids in Detroit have less art in their school day and less after-school options than their peers. I also don't have to tell this crowd what that does academically and socially, or what not having art does emotionally to children. And the unfortunate truth is that trauma, racial, economic, violent, is present in the majority of the young people's lives that we serve. So at Living Arts, we believe that this team up here, alongside our peer organizations like you saw today, Mosaic, Inside Out, has the opportunity to make significant, collective, and systemic impact on these challenges. We have the opportunity to partnership with schools, the city, and our funding partners to create a culturally driven path rooted in educational equity by doing three things. The first is addressing structural roadblocks by investing in practicing artists while providing safe spaces for youth and families. The second is focusing on whole child development by delivering different modalities to learning and emphasizing healthy human relationships. And the third is cultivating creative and engaging classrooms by partnering professional artists and educators for strong learning outcomes. And we believe also, and this must be noted, that teaching artists should never take the place of classroom educators. So Living Arts' mission is this: to achieve all of these things through the arts and through our people, because we believe that the strength of a city comes from its children. And the future of arts and culture lies in our youngest residents. So how do we do this? We employ 40 professional Detroit-based artists of all disciplines to work in their specialty in early childhood classrooms. So we are in Head Starts, early Head Starts, GSRPs, libraries, and even homes. K-12 classrooms in DPSCD and in charter schools, and at our own after-school space in Southwest Detroit, where almost 300 youth and families come Monday through Friday. And at Living Arts, what makes us unique is that we tie our artistic production, which is steeped in history, to the objective of the classroom. So that might look like an ELA and drama lesson based in the expeditionary learning curriculum, or that might be processing tragic loss in an after-school animation class. What was started in 1999 with one dance class went from impact looking like this to this. But my dream is in the next 5 years, it looks like this. Because this type of work cannot wait. Equitable resources must be built around youth in this city. So the teaching artists here we have at Living Arts and in our partner organizations have the potential to transform education based on the building blocks that I have outlined before. But what we often forget from a national level, state level, and my level in the organization is that the most important thing in a child's life is the one-on-one relationships with people who speak like them, who look like them, and understand what they're going through. I am so excited to introduce you all to Sterling Toles, award-winning producer and award-winning human. Sterling is a sonic and visual artist from Detroit's hip-hop scene who is educated just down the block. He has produced for Detroit talents such as Body James and Invincible, and was selected as a 2017 Kresge Film and Music Festival. He's been a teaching artist with us for 7 years in all 3 of our programs. And my goal at Living Arts is to make sure every young person has a Sterling in their life.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
All right, so you got me on time, right? Because I can get long-winded. Detroit puts a lot of wind in me, so. All right, so yes, my name is Sterling Toles. I am a visual and creative person that lives and exists in the city of Detroit. And I've been, like she said, teaching for Living Arts for some time now. And I've done every program within Living Arts. So I've done Wolf Trap, which we're the local affiliate for it. So we work with 3 to 5-year-olds. I've also worked with 5th graders, 8th graders, and high school. And working with the 3 to 5-year-olds taught me a lot, because going through training, right, we had to become 4-year-olds for a week. Right? You never realize how conditioned you are as adults until you're asked to be a 4-year-old for a week. But in that, it reminded me of the importance and beauty of imagination and innocence, 2 things that we take deeply for granted in our process of life. And one thing that I've learned is that the difference between the things that we fathom and want to happen and them actually existing is the threshold of belief that lies in between those 2 things. And the importance of creativity is because it allows for that belief to expand to the point in which the things that we fathom can be ushered into tangibility. So I understand that when we take out that belief that is constantly contracting if our creativity is not engaged, if we take that out, those children stay on the side of their imagination and their joy not ever being realized. And so I feel like it's my role to do this in a way in which I engage them on a level of saying, hey, this isn't about you making great art or doing something that is wonderful. That's all cool. But you have an opportunity in your creativity to reclaim the majesty of your heart and the beauty of your intrinsic qualities in being able to just create. And that's what I feel I'm there to connect them back to. So for me, like, this is really an issue of understanding that the process of returning to love and action is our ability to create the way we wish to feel. Because otherwise, we become heavily reliant on things outside of ourselves to make us feel a certain way. And we as adults all know that. So one thing that I show them, if you can create the way that you would love to feel, the way you would wish to feel, then now your joy is working from the inside out as opposed to your happiness working from the outside in. So to me, this is about reconnecting our babies back to love through the process of giving them an opportunity within the school to now become one with these capacities that aren't often engaged in the classroom. Because one thing I also know is that we're taught knowledge, and we're taught things that we already know in the society. But in actuality, the thing that stretches us into the possibilities is the unknown. And that's one thing that young people are always connected to, the unknown, because our imagination lives in the unknown. So they can dance and expand and find themselves in the unknown. But a lot of times there's no place within the context of learning, in the context of expanding what you know, to connect to the unknown in a way in which now you've opened up your understanding of life and love to infinite space. And so we, in being able to give them that space, now they have enough room to facilitate the possibilities of their greatest lives and their greatest actions. So this work is very important. So I think I'm doing all right on time, right? So I'm just extremely passionate about these young people. I'll tell you, one time I had a student that he unfortunately lost his little brother unexpectedly. And he didn't come back to school for a week or two, and we were getting near to the end of the school year. And I didn't expect him to come back. It was a devastating loss for his family. And in the last day or two of school, he comes back to do the song that he was working on before he left. And I'm like, wow, you came back. I'm so surprised to see you. And he's like, I had to do my song. I came to do my song. And that taught me the importance of understanding that our wholeness, our ability to reconnect to that newborn that's within us every moment, is in our ability to engage our creativity. And so often, what we become, who we think we are in the context of the world, the identities that we assume, are pretty false to me. Because in actuality, we're like simultaneous incarnations of each other. And so if I can see within myself that newborn that exists within me, then I can see it in everyone that I make eye contact with and have the ability to engage with. And so through this process of being in the school, I've seen the restoration of young people in a way in which they not only see the ultimate and infinite capacity within themselves, they begin seeing it in everybody that they encounter. And so it becomes a reclaiming of their heart. So each person that you encounter is you getting back a piece of your heart as you embrace them as being a part of you. And I've watched this love manifest in my ability to be present with these youth. So thank you for having me. Thank you for coming to our lovely city. And, it's been good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing and being here today. I love it. And thank you for coming back from West Virginia. It's now my pleasure to introduce Belinda Tate. Belinda is the executive director of the Kalamazoo Institute of Arts. She's been with us here in Michigan for about 5 years now. Besides being Kalamazoo, it's this side. It's been the joke, right? You have to do it at least once. So besides being the director of the Kalamazoo Institute of Arts, Belinda also serves on the board of the Association of Art Museum Directors and is on the task force for diversity, equity, and inclusion for the Alliance of American Museums. Whew, I got that right. And because I forgot to write that down. But what I wanted Belinda to talk about with us today, besides the wonderful things that are happening on the west side of the state, I wanted you to have a little slice of someone from that side. Belinda has been and her whole entire team and the community of Kalamazoo is working really hard on an amazing collection, a group of exhibitions that is coming to Kalamazoo this fall, focusing around Black Refractions, which is from the Studio Museum in Harlem. So I'm hoping you have some wonderful images to show as well. So Belinda Tate, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chairman Carter and the members of the board for being here. We appreciate all of the work that you do, but I must share that we have Alissa Watson, the best advocate that a state could have for the arts. So, thank you, Allison. So in Kalamazoo, the arts are for everyone, and we do mean everyone. So that means if you haven't had an opportunity to get involved yet, we are expecting you. If we miss you this year, don't worry, we will be coming back around next year with a wonderful slate of exciting new programs. So always check in online with us. You know, look at what we're doing and come on down to Kalamazoo. You have an open invitation to the friendliest city in America. Even though I'm representing an art museum, that's a picture of our building there. My slides have a lot of words. I will not be repeating those words. So you can listen to me, or you can read the slides, or if you are able to multitask, please do both. But I wanted to share with you a great deal of information about our institution. We are an art museum and a school. We have over 3,300 students in our community-based art school, taking over 300 classes annually. And in a city of 75,000, we are serving about 100,000 people annually in a 17-county region in Southwest Michigan, and that red dot represents exactly where you can find me and a great collection of over 5,000 works of art in Kalamazoo. We have very special relationships with our university partners, Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and K College. And Kalamazoo is also well known for the Kalamazoo Promise, which provides free in-state college tuition to every high school public grad who has spent more than 4 years in the high school program there. So it's special. It is a special place. So I'm going to tell you a brief story about civic engagement with the arts. We are a place where the art moves beyond the walls and it gets people moving and talking in the community, and we're all about creating a platform for mutual understanding, self-respect, respect of others, and just really having the ability to have compassion and empathy for the world around us. So we are doing a program this fall called Black Refractions. It highlights one of the best collections of African American art and art from the African diaspora in the country. It's from the Studio Museum in Harlem. The show is organized by the American Federation of Arts and is funded by the Art Bridges Foundation, and we will be the only Midwest stop for this important exhibition featuring about 90 works. So it's becoming increasingly difficult for small regional museums to really access important works by internationally renowned artists because the dynamics of the art world is changing, and that's why we need more funding from the NEA. These are a few of the great works that will be in this exhibition, but we wanted to leverage this exhibition for our community to leave a lasting impact in our community. So we organized an exhibition called Where We Stand, Black Artists of Southwest Michigan, and we wanted to honor and support the artists who work in our community each and every day to enlighten us. We wanted to illuminate and find new ways around their obstacles to success and create pathways of support for them. So these are artists from an 11-county region in Southwest Michigan. And then we also decided to leverage this even further by doing a collection, an exhibition of works from our great collection. So this is 60 works in a show called Resilience, African American Artists as Agents of Change. And what we did is we went back and we looked at artists working within their unique time period and space and really examined how they were trying to push society in their moment. So from Henry Osawa Tanner and Edmonia Lewis and Robert Seldon Duncanson in the 19th century to Romare Bearden and Gordon Parks in the 20th century to Samuel Levi Jones and Carrie James Marshall and Renee Stout and Philomena Williamson. In the 21st century, we're looking for artists who are pushing those boundaries, and we've come up with a wonderful, wonderful exhibition that features this. So this is a lot of work, over 200 works of art by Black artists, so we did something really unique for any mainstream American museum. We are de-installing our entire permanent collection, the entire museum, the upper level temporary spaces, the lower level permanent spaces. Everywhere will be a celebration of Black art and culture. Thank you. So we wanted to create this immersive experience that moves us beyond the familiar so that we could really have a moment of investigation and really work to find those common threads of our humanity within this experience. It turned out to be a really a big project, and we realized that we needed some help because we wanted, of course, everyone in our community to have the opportunity to participate in this. So we started talking to folks across the community, and all these conversations were happening, and then we decided to pull everyone together in a meeting. So we had a stakeholders meeting, and we had 30 representatives from organizations all across the city come together and say, we want to help you leverage this suite of exhibitions in our community. This is important work, and we want to use this exhibition as a platform for talking about important issues that are affecting people in various sectors across the community. This group, we have been meeting every 6 weeks all year. We came up with a mission statement for our group. It's here. The ongoing goal of this team of stakeholders is to maximize our collective ability to educate, empower, and enlighten the Kalamazoo community through a network of cultural awareness programming. We realize the truth in the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Mm-hmm. And in Kalamazoo, we are going together. This is a photo of one of our working groups. As you can see, you have to be really good looking to be in our group. Just kidding. But it includes neighborhood and community groups, religious groups, state and local organizations, educational institutions, a variety of institutions across the community. Western Michigan University became inspired. Their Richmond Center is also going to do an exhibition of works featuring Black artists this fall at the same time. It will be a show on the spiral artists. Kalamazoo Valley Community College is doing an exhibition of Black artists working in 3D, so it's a sculptural show. Kalamazoo Valley Museum is doing the work of Murphy Darden, who is a local self-taught African-American artist who tells the history of Kalamazoo through his works. So now we have a suite of 7 institutions across the community who are doing major exhibitions. So during this 12 weeks time span, almost every major exhibiting space in Kalamazoo will have a show featuring the work of Black artists. It's a community takeover in the most positive way, and it's giving us the collective courage to talk about things that we have not been able to address in either public or private settings. It's giving us a new ability to really work together in ways that are authentic, and it's giving us an opportunity to be vulnerable with each other in ways that we have not had the opportunity to do in the past. So we have opened the floodgates. Lots of organizations are saying, we want to participate. What can we do? We went to the Kalamazoo Public Library. They said, sure, we will provide a microsite for you. We're providing training on these artworks. We say to everyone, come, look, listen, learn, and then take the information back to your sector of the community and share it in a way that is relevant to your group. So we don't care if the conversation is about housing or social justice, education, mass incarceration, whatever it is, you are the best people to have that conversation with your constituents. Just use us as a resource. We are your museum. We're open. You can host an event here at the museum. You can host it at another location. And the public library is now keeping track of all of these events that are going to be happening throughout the city during this 12-week time frame and beyond. We started by calling the microsite Black Refractions KIA for Kalamazoo Institute of Arts. Our group said, no, it's Black Refractions Kalamazoo. This is our project. This is a citywide project, and we were so incredibly proud of that. The Kalamazoo Public Library looked at the list of local artists that we were working with, and they said, we've never worked with any of these artists. Okay, we're going to remedy that. We're going to give an artist in residence a residency to each artist on this list, and give them a stipend to come into the public library and create art and allow the public to watch this art being made in the library. And the creative process is going to be live streamed. So this is providing access in unprecedented ways for our community, and we're strengthening our ability to work together. So, Artists for Everyone, especially in Kalamazoo. So we want to see you in the fall for these programs starting Thursday, September 12th through the 15th. We have the community days are the 14th and the 15th, so it's 4 days of opening and exhibition. So come on down to Kalamazoo. We will also be hosting a regional symposium November 8th and 9th, and the focus of the symposium will be around how we can support artists working in our community. And that's really important to us because, you know, the artists in our community, they are the ones who have the greatest insight into who we are and what our needs are in order to help us all move forward together. And we want to continue to empower them to do that for us all. Okay, here we are. The KIA seeks to include everyone in the arts, and we do absolutely mean everyone. Through community collaborations and diverse offerings, I can only say that we look forward to seeing you soon. In Kalamazoo, we go far and we go together.
Thank you so much, Belinda. And we will wrap up the presentations bit, as your program says, with a burst of energy from our neighbors in Flint, the Ballet Folklórico Estudantil. Originally, we were going to have some dancers, but the taps on their shoes were not going to, they're going to be a little tricky for this beautiful wooden floor. So we will go with mariachi this morning. Welcome and thank you.
jingling on these. Spurs. Hello, welcome. Thank you for having us here. We are El Ballet Folklórico Estudantil Mariachi from Flint, Michigan. We offer music lessons, private music lessons, and piano and mariachi instruments, as well as mariachi ensemble classes. We also offer dance classes and Mexican folkloric, traditional Mexican folkloric dance classes. But here today we have our company mariachi to perform a few songs for you. For this next one.
As he will.
Enloquecido, enloquecido con su forma de bailar. Las muchachas lindas no quieren bailar, están esperando a Sergio el bailador. Tiene gracia para moverla con la voz, y a ella le gusta como lo hace el señor. Y ya llegó, ya llegó, ya llegó Sergio el bailador. Llegó Sergio el bailador. Ya llegó Sergio el bailador. Está la barba en San Nicolás. Ya llegó Sergio el bailador. Sergio Bailador, nunca presumido, es un buen amigo, y este que baila, no tiene este vino, este bailador, tiene corazón. quedarse enloquecido, tanto atonado con su forma de bailar. Belinda no quiere bailar, está esperando Sergio el bailador. Ya llegó, ya llegó, ya llegó Sergio el bailador. Llegó Sergio el bailador. Ya llegó Sergio el bailador. El bailador me dijo, ya llegó Sergio el bailador. Bailar jalao le gusta más. Ya llegó Sergio el bailador. Nunca presumido, es un buen amigo. Depende del baile, porque es amigo. Ese bailador tiene corazón y es enamorado de todo el mundo. And for our final number, Mahol. Negrita de mis pesares, ojos de papel volando, negrita de mis pesares, ojos de papel volando, a todos diles que sí, pero no les digas cuando así me dijiste a mí, por eso vivo penando.
Honestly, I feel like I need a margarita right now. Great job, thank you. I want to give one quick shout out. As I mentioned earlier, 40% of our funding goes to the states. Every state has an art agency, as does Puerto Rico and the other territories, and Washington, D.C. And they are all under the umbrella of the National Association of State Art Agencies, sorry, National Association of State Art Agencies. Pam Bro, who leads that organization, who is amazing, flew up to Michigan to attend this council meeting. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Pam because she is amazing. And I know Allison and all of her counterparts around the country are so grateful for Pam's leadership. She's really terrific, and we love partnering with her. So thank you for flying up and being here. As our final piece of business, I am pleased to announce that the National Council on the Arts has reviewed the applications and guidelines presented to them, and a tally of the council members' ballots reveal that all recommendations for funding have passed. I would like to thank Omari and Allison and Neil once again for their gracious hospitality and for making our time in Michigan such a success. Thank you so much. The 197th meeting of the National Council on the Arts is now adjourned.